Welcome to Geopolitics in Conflict Breaking News. What's going on?
So, what's going on today is a secret trip that happened last week where the director of the CIA met with.
Vladimir Putin. Whoever thought? Yes, indeed. This one has been for about 5-6 days. And the reason why nobody knew about it, because the way it works for the Central Intelligence Agency director, his or her trips are always classified. So nobody will know about. And now the information's coming out because the meeting took place a couple of days ago. But the question with that, you know what the key question is? What a CIA director doing in Moscow meeting a Russian president?
That is exactly the right question.
So, and the second one will become how significant that is.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a CIA director sitting with a Russian president unless it's a major issue. So,
right.
Well, of course, the media is going to try to spin that on so many issues. Let's start with the obvious, shall we?
Yes.
And the obvious is, the argument is that the reason for why the CIA director went to Moscow is they wanted to find out Russia's intentions regarding the movement of troops.
Right.
Satellites,
yes.
if we can pull up the image of that. So the satellites revealed that Russia is moving some troops and some equipment to the borders with Ukraine.
Yeah, with Ukraine.
No. And the United States didn't kind of understand what does it mean. So that is the reason why the CIA director ended up in Moscow. So we thought.
Yes. Well, so the next part of this question is, why was it the CIA director who went? There are a bunch of pieces of this story that don't quite make sense, but I would love your opinion, David, on why was it him? Why didn't Biden just pick up the phone?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question, because you could have had the Secretary of State being there. The second option, the president could have get on a red phone and talk to the Kremlin.
Right.
There is a direct line that can communicate with the Kremlin.
Right.
So instead, President Biden dispatched Burns, the CIA director, to go there. But the issue has nothing to do with just the movement of troops of Ukraine. Because here is the thing, what the media was not reporting on is that during the same time when Director Burns was flying to Russia, only a few days before that, the United States Naval were conducting drills in the Black Sea. Yeah. And that makes you just wonder, this cannot be a coincidence, one. And second is, how come the United States will be dispatching a CIA director to talk to Vladimir Putin rather than meeting his counterpart in the FSB and talking about the movement of troops when the United States was conducting, as a matter of fact, I did find out which countries were involved in those trainings. And you know what we're talking about here? We're talking about countries like Turkey, Georgia, Lithuania, I believe. Then, those are some countries were involved. Romania, those are part. Also, this comes only on the heels of Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense, tour in the area. But here is the key issue that I believe, and this is my personal opinion, as geopolitical analyst, I'll be thinking about it in these terms. The reason why the CIA director ended up there is because the concern the United States has when it comes down to Russia and China rapprochement.
That is a very, very interesting and wise perspective.
Yeah, well, because that is where the big concern will be. I mean, can you imagine your two most powerful countries joining forces together?
Yeah.
The U.S. will have no chance, and we'll say it straightforward.
Yeah.
We'll have no chance if and when Russia and China decided to join their military capabilities
And we
together.
are seeing that. We are seeing joint military exercises that are happening between Russia and China.
Indeed, those are usually normal on a yearly basis.
Right.
The United States does that. We do that military exercises with any country we want, but for that to think about it in terms of what's taking place right now when it comes down to Taiwan in the South China Sea, what's taking place with the establishment of AUKUS, the Quad, the tensions with the West that pushing towards, and makes you wonder: is the CIA director, is the CIA's director's visit to Russia has to do with Ukraine, or it has to do with a much bigger, because Russia-China rapprochement? It's a much bigger issue for Washington than just Ukraine stuff. And that is why we wanted to share this information with you. What's interesting enough is that the articles that came out here in the US didn't disclose much.
They didn't. And it's actually challenging to find articles about it in the US. You had to go
well,
to,
we did find the information from outside the United States. So, and this is why sometimes it might take us a day or two before we do breaking news. There is a reason for that. Why? Because we wanted to confirm the information. That is exactly what happened. So, but this one, it touches, as I said earlier, it touches on a much bigger geopolitical landscape, because that, you know, as an analyst, when it comes down to geopolitics, you're going to think in terms of, oh my gosh, you're going to have Russia and China joining capabilities together. The US will stand no chance whatsoever. And given the tensions, also because when you think about the shift that's taking place on the geopolitical landscape, that shift has already occurred.
Yeah, it already has.
I think Washington is pretending not to see that.
That's interesting.
You know, it's a psychological, I don't know the terminology for it. I don't know that kind of approach, but they pretending that, no, like, it's almost like when you have a problem.
Yeah, and you ignore it.
You ignore it, thinking, I don't have any problem. No, I'm perfect. I don't have any problem. That's exactly how I see it personally. That shift in the geopolitical landscape has already occurred. And the United States is having a hard time accepting that.
Do you think that the United States really our government just doesn't know, or do you think they really do know and they are either purposely not doing something about it or can't do anything about it at this point? Is it too late to do something about it?
You know, but they don't have the strategy or policies. You know, especially when it comes down to foreign policy. Our foreign policy is so fragmented. It's ambiguous. I'll use the term because straightforward, that's what it is. Because what's happened with our foreign policy now is we are reacting to events rather than which means what? It means basically our policy is reactionary. No more, no less. You know, well, when you have individuals in State Departments that depends on books, they've never been on the ground to understand. You know, when I was in Iraq, I remember back then, and I have a chance sometimes coming down on the elevator with the former ambassador, Jeffrey, was down there. And of course, I maintained the diplomatic protocol. He's an ambassador. I am not going to be chitty-chatty with him unless he asks a question and an answer. And it would be just the basic information to talk of whatever we could talk about, of course. But it was always that idea of when the analysts will come over to Baghdad, then I'll ask them, I said, well, how about if we go downtown Baghdad? Oh, no, we can't go down there. It's dangerous. And I said, well, how can you base a policy when you didn't see things with your own eyes?
How could they provide legitimate analysis?
And that's what they did. So they'll send the analysis to Washington, somebody who's delegating from an armchair, and it becomes a policy. When you didn't see the ground, what's going on the ground. And at that time, it used to be the Prime Minister Maliki who was feeding the Americans whatever they want to hear. That's the sad reality. And I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't add up. Because I was there. I was there on behalf of the American people. That trust that's been placed upon me, it's on behalf of the American people. So you can't shortchange the American people as far as what's taking place here by saying, oh, everything is fine. When in reality, It is not.
It's not.
Same argument could be made in Afghanistan.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it becomes a question: what have we accomplished
in Afghanistan? I think
and Iraq, for that matter?
And Iraq, for that matter.
Yeah, what have we accomplished with all the amount of money that was wasted?
We accomplished giving Afghanistan back to the same people who had it before we took it away.
Exactly. Yeah, and the waste of money that, can you just imagine? Just imagine this, Elizabeth, for a second. If you take all that money, and given how our economic conditions right now at home here, when you get families struggling, can you imagine take that money and invest it right here at home? So for you, you know, whatever part of America, if you happen to be from the United States watching this, don't tell me that investing that money is not going to benefit you. If we are to either tackle healthcare, if we are to tackle education, if we are to tackle infrastructure, homelessness. Well, you lived in California. You know how
I did, and now it's substantially worse. And you know, and the one thing that I always wondered, and you know, as an American citizen, what I've always wondered is, why is that money being sent to other places when we have really substantial problems here? You know, we have children who can't eat. The only times they eat are when they're at school, and school feeds them breakfast and lunch, because they're at such an extreme level of poverty that they can't afford to eat during the day. And this is, I think it's 1 in 4 children.
Exactly. I heard that
it's substantial. It's a lot who cannot afford to eat every day. And to have spent the amount of money that we spent in Afghanistan is unconscionable, in my personal opinion.
Well, Sam, I mean, if you take this into consideration with like what we did the breaking news earlier about the Pentagon report, you know, I guarantee you that you're going to be seeing spike now in spending in the Department of Defense, saying, well, we have to counter China. You know, counter China for what? You have about 5,500 nuclear warheads.
Right.
Why do you need to counter China for?
Well, and how many more nuclear warheads are going to make a difference? When you already have 5,500, is another 500 nuclear warheads going to matter? I mean, it takes what, 2 nuclear warheads to absolutely destroy a country? You don't need 5,500. You don't need 6,000.
Exactly. And this is where Washington, when it does not like the message, it tends to shoot the messenger. So, of course, if you are sitting down with policymakers and talk pragmatically, you are out of your mind, because that's how they're seen that. Look no further than the laughing matter from the energy secretary. You know, who's going to laugh at something like that?
Out of touch.
How can you laugh at the suffering of others? You know, to me, that's like almost like becoming a heartless.
It is. And a lot of policy right now feels that way. It feels heartless, and it feels overwhelming. Like it's coming from every single side.
And it makes you wonder
very challenging, actually,
where the whole country is headed. You know, where are we going? Where are we heading? You know, it's about time to sort of start ask a question that matters. Human nature. What will become of it? You know, enough of this nonsense of, you know, I gotta be politically correct, or I gotta be this, or I gotta be that.
The world is not gentle right now, and as things get worse, politically correct feels like not speaking the truth of what's happening, because it's not pretty. And if we don't speak the truth, if we don't say what's really going on, how is anyone supposed to fix it? If there are things you can't talk about, how is anyone supposed to think their way through problems? And that's what we're seeing right now, is because there's no intelligent conversation about these things. There's no way to solve these problems. There's just posturing or virtue signaling, which is, you know, showing that you're such a good person on social media or in the press, showing that you're a good person by doing this one thing, while the rest of these things are harming people. And, you know, we're at a shipping container. We're at the height of the shipping container. I don't want to call it a crisis, but is a supply chain crisis.
It is.
There's 111 ships now outside of the California ports.
So why the administration doesn't give the order and move them to Florida and unload everything and move on?
Because there has to be something else going on here. And I think that's ultimately the question that a lot of you also have. What is going on here? What is going on with the United States right now?
Yeah, and those are the questions that matter.
They are.
So
they're absolutely the questions.
Until we have an honest conversation, we're not gonna get to the bottom of it. This is something we try to provide on our platform here. This is why sometimes you get some comments of those. Well, if you don't like what we're saying, sorry. We can't just be saying what you want to hear. Yeah. We're gonna say what is the truth, because that's what we stand for.
And we do have that sometimes. We do have some people who say, well, why, this guest or something that you said, I don't agree with it. Well, I understand. But if we don't present everything, even the things that aren't pretty to look at,
exactly,
then when those things come home, when they start to hit, we'll be caught off guard. You'll be caught off guard. So even if we present guests, there are people who have not agreed with some of our guests.
Yeah.
Art Berman is one that I want to highlight, because Art Berman talked about exactly what's happening right now. And we got a lot of comments that said, he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong. And a couple months later, what he said was going to happen happened.
I admire the guy. He's been around the energy field for decades and decades, so he knows what I was talking about. So just the bottom line to all this is the idea of, sometimes when you see things happening, there is something else behind.
Yes.
That's always, it's not what you see or what the media reports. And this is why we decided to break this news to you. As I said earlier, it was about 5 days ago or so, but nobody knew, because the movements of the CIA director are classified. Usually nobody would know except his entourage or her entourage. That's how it works for the agency, and rightly so. But the question that we need to ask is, why a CIA director but not Secretary of State or the president or vice president meeting with a Russian president? So that is the big question.
That is definitely the big question. And as you're analyzing geopolitics yourself, look for those telltale signs, something that isn't quite what it should be, because there's always a story there. We don't know what it is. We may never know what it is, but there is a story there, because that is out of the norm.
Well, we can reach to some of our sources. We never know. You never know. So,
that's true.
But we want to also take this opportunity to let our viewers know that on Friday, we are not going to be available for live stream.
That's right.
We're always on Friday. We will be out of town attending a conference, and we'll meet the following Friday. So we wanted to let you know about this one. We're going to miss you on Friday. It's just the way it is. So, but also we take this opportunity. How about, by the way, when do we have the next presentation for our members?
Okay, so the next presentation for the members on geopoliticsinconflict.com is on the 19th, I believe.
She's the final. Okay.
And we do members only presentations, and we have a community of members. We have a private community on Discord where our members have conversations. You jump in, David.
I was on it yesterday. Yes, I was on it yesterday.
So that if you want to join, there is a community of people just like you that are having conversations every day. And David jumps on, I jump on. We're trying to get Ross on. And
when he has time.
When he has
busy.
time. Yeah. Geopoliticsinconflict.com. Check it out.
Yeah, check out that membership. You will like what we offer there. So and because the more we grow that base, the more discussions we're gonna have, and the more awareness we're gonna raise as we try to propagate the message of peace and the truth. Because we believe in live and let live. So we hope you find this info very important. It might mean a lot to you, it might not, especially when dealing with the CIA stuff.
Yeah.
But you will find it very interesting. So in any event, we thank you for your support, and we hope to see you next time. As always, stay informed. Till next time. Bye-bye.